to the second match of our gym class feeders. Looks like a couple players changed.
So we see Fat Lee is off of what was the red team. They've swapped sides now, and Kokoro no Nagi stepping in for him. Early ban on the Sejuani, that was such an issue for them. Zoe an immediate first ban again.
So it was a first ban the last game too. It was kind of strange seeing as I don't know if anyone on the red team last game played Zoe. But now we've got the Zoe main on blue team. It looks like they're just throwing all their bans at the new mid laner for the blue team. Whereas they're throwing all their bans at the jungler for the red team.
Immediate target bans on the two highlight players.
And they don't like the Tristana, so they're just getting rid of it.
I will wait for you to be better.
So we're seeing targeted bans from the red team early, and I suppose two gameplay bans from the last game from the blue side. They're not looking for a repeat of last game. Akali being hovered, and Akali will be locked in.
Now that's an interesting pick.
Akali's got a lot of potential in a lot of different lanes. I know jungle Akali's been pretty popular on this new patch. She can be played top, she can be played mid. Ooh, and Cho'Gath.
But can she be played support is the real question.
If you ask my solo queue partners, yes it can. If you ask me, no it can't. Cho'Gath, one of my favorite champions. Another flex pick, can be played top, can be played mid. Usually is played jungle.
We got the Caitlyn coming in for the red team.
I know you'll hate me for saying this, but Caitlyn not very popular in the newest patch. Definitely one of the ADCs with a lower win rate coming out here.
That's just because people forgot how to play her.
All those Caitlyn mains just poof disappeared.
No, they all turned into Tristana mains. Got the Veigar coming out for Kokoro no Kagi.
Veigar, again, we've seen is flexible in that he can be played top against even a Tahm Kench at points in our LCUS play.
Could also be played in the mid lane or even as a support. I know a certain someone here is very fond of playing as Veigar support.
I have no idea what you're talking about. only meta picks for the Dr. Prowler.
We've got a Kha'Zix coming in for the blue team.
No, we saw blue team really working towards those, they had the pick potential last game. I'm surprised that they're going back to that well with the Kha'Zix, considering that it didn't work out so well for them in the first game.
Well, if it is a Cho'Gath jungle, that Kha'Zix does have a chance to wreak havoc on him in the early game. Because Cho has kind of a weaker early game, as most tanks do in the jungle. Ezreal gone. Don't want to see that coming back.
Karma, another pick too for the red side. That's a flex pick, another mid lane support hybrid. They have a lot of flexibility. Very hard for blue team to ban them out here.
I'm gonna say, just given the team, that Karma is gonna be going mid. It's been seen more commonly in the mid lane, but they don't seem to think so, so they're just gonna throw ban down on the LeBlanc.
The LeBlanc was putting out some disgusting damage. I'm surprised it wasn't one of those first three bans. Obviously, want to try to take away from Menard's playmaking potential as much as possible, but that LeBlanc was doing stupid damage.
I feel they just felt that the Tristana was more of a threat than the LeBlanc, and I would agree to that. The LeBlanc did some disgusting damage, but the Tristana just, on the back of the Sejuani, kept those fights in favor of their team. So, good bans all around. Leona ban from the blue team. Kind of interesting.
Blue team showing their PTSD from the last game. 3 of their bans, champions that were played previously, they do not want a rematch. They don't want to see it again.
Wukong coming out for the red team.
Another flex pick. They have a lot of flexibility there.
That could definitely either be a top laner or a jungler. Most commonly in the top lane. But he is able to jungle at probably like a B tier, C tier, somewhere in there. But he can do it. You got the Misfortune coming out for the blue team. Not a whole lot of strength to their team in the form of tanks. You got a Renekton.
Renekton coming on. Another interesting team comp for them. They have the Misfortune, but they don't have a lot to lock down for the Misfortune ult. You got Veigar's wall, obviously, but not much else for CC.
So is that an Akali support or is it a Veigar support?
Man. Blue team is a mess. I don't know what to make of that at all. It's got to be a Veigar. Oh man, I don't even want to take speculation on that. There's no way to. We'll find out when they rotate to lanes.
Oh, that is definitely a Veigar support, and it looks like Amaya-chan is going to be playing Akali in the mid lane.
So they swapped out their jungler.
Which Akali into a Syndra, that could be pretty brutal for the Akali. I mean, she can pop into her Shroud, but Syndra can peg most of the Shroud with her Q anyways. But once level 6 rolls around, Akali is going to be able to just jump on that Syndra and hopefully delete her. Otherwise, you know, the outplay button, the nature of it.
The outplay button. Like a man in a sauna, you know, with a bunch of other dudes, there's just no way to dodge those balls.
Exactly. If you can dodge wrench, you can dodge a ball. We're out of wrenches, so good luck.
Unfortunately, Heimerdinger's auto attacks are pretty hard to dodge. So early on, what are you looking for here? Do you have a side that you're leaning towards taking the early lead just based off of the comps? Anything that you're looking to see?
Coming from the early power, the Caitlyn does still, even though she has kind of fallen down the tier list, she does still have a lot of early power. That's kind of why she's still decent. The Wukong can be a pretty good bully. Into a Renekton is going to be an interesting matchup. I don't know how that one goes. They're both pretty big bullies. I would have to say that's probably in favor of the Wukong, but it's pretty even in my eyes. The Kha'Zix is going to be the real deal breaker for the early game. He's gotta make some sort of pick or some sort of play in order for the blue team to start to snowball in this game. Because if Kha'Zix falls behind, he's not going to be able to do anything to that Cho'Gath. And the Syndra is going to be able to push away that Kha'Zix as well. A little bit of protection in the Karma for the Caitlyn.
You say that Kha'Zix snowballing is huge for the red team. Are you expecting blue to counter that with wards in their own jungle? That was something that red team to counter with previously the blue team. They had an issue with wards. You know, they didn't have a lot of defensive or offensive ones. Are you expecting to see that more? Do you think that's a mistake that they realize that they made and they'll be looking to make it to prevent these counter invades, or no?
I'm going to think that if they're going to want the Cho'Gath to have as healthy and as successful of an early game as possible, they're going to be needing to do a little bit more defensive warding, kind of try to either catch that Kha'Zix out trying to be greedy or make some counter ganks onto the Kha'Zix, kind of foil his plans. A lot of damage potential from that, what I can only assume to be Caitlyn Karma bot lane, though. A lot of poke, a lot of range, but that double up from Misfortune is pretty disgusting. Paired with a Veigar, it's gonna be a bloodbath. It is my guess.
One thing that I want to point out too, last game, you know, we saw Lysimachus playing on LeBlanc did a lot of damage. A lot of that gold coming off of her assists from being able to rotate. On Syndra, she's taking cleanse, and that's not going to allow Syndra to rotate nearly as well as we saw previously. I wonder if that'll delay Syndra's power spike more and force them to, you know, play differently than they had been previously. Went up here. Gentleman Cho'Gath, always a prime choice. Omega Squad Vigar has been taking a lot of flack from the LCUS, but it's one of my favorite skins. I truly enjoy the small nuke that his W is. I'll give the early skin lead over to the blue side.
I would have to agree. A pool party Renekton is a pretty nice one.
That recall animation is one of the best. Presents dropping in our holiday-themed winter map here.
Everyone
Last time we saw...
spending their money before they lose it.
We did see an early invade attempt kind of go awry from good positioning by the Zyra in the previous game. Looks like we're going to go to just normal 5-point sniff them out here.
It looks like free stacks for the Vigar. I guess, well, not as free anymore, but still worth. Karma recalling off of that. I don't know if that's necessary, but hey, if you want as much health as you can get, you take what you can get.
You take every little advantage. Trading that 1 AP for a small portion of Vigar's health there.
Looks like Kha'Zix is going to run all the way down, start on this red side.
Red team pinging into the river bush. I must think that someone's still hiding in there.
Wukong standing on a ward. He knows it's there because he hit it twice before. Just making
wants to let everyone
sure.
know that he can see.
Just making sure Renekton didn't slip through.
Alright, everyone resume normal playstyles here, no quick invades.
Got some fancy pinging off in the corner of the map.
Yeah, blue pinging off the map, letting you know that it's Stark over there. Maybe trying to, let their team know it needs to be warded, that top left corner of the map.
Maybe they're just pointing out the dragon.
Could be. Look at this adorable dragon. Not worried about the game yet.
There's a dragon that is over there.
Maya-chan taking early damage as Akali.
It's to be expected. Akali pre-6 is a pretty rough lane, especially against a lane bully like the Syndra. So he's just going to have to try to get as much as he can, just farming with his Q. A lot of damage in the top lane from this Renekton, though. Definitely not a pleasant time for the Wukong, but he's got his Corrupting Potion to heal it back up.
And big wave pushing in too, so Renekton kind of trading some pressure for that damage.
Kali trying to get as much CS as she can. Bot lane shoving in favor of the red team.
Kha'Zix sitting on the side waiting. I don't know if Akali's gonna. Oh, with the health potion taken, maybe they'll be high enough for an engage here. Instead, Kha'Zix just gonna go explore the jungle.
Got some more fighting going on in the top lane. Looked like the Wukong went in for a little bit of damage, and then the Renekton just kind of slice and dice out him, saying, "Hey, I'm still bigger than you."
Something you expected here. The Kha'Zix invading, but Red has it spotted out, and
a lot of damage coming on to the Syndra. She's out of mana now. Kill going over, solo kill for the Renekton in the top lane. Wukong just kind of thinking he's doing better than he is, and Renekton just lands the stun and takes him down.
not the ideal place to be going down either. If you're pushing the wave up, you'd like to be in a little more control of the trades. I think if the wave gets pushed like that again, you'd see an early attack up from Kha'Zix and start trying to snowball the Renekton some.
So the real important thing about that invade, even though it failed, the Kha'Zix got a lot of damage onto... Looks like there's some fighting going down in the bot lane, and the Misfortune picks up the kill on the backside. Just about everything but the support's flash is blown in that mix. But back to what I was saying about the mid lane. That really, really helps. Even though they didn't really get anything material out of it, it helps relieve some of the pressure Another kill in the
The
bot
auto
lane.
attack trails her down after the flash and does pick up the kill.
But it helps relieve some of the pressure onto this Akali. Gives her a little bit more safety because the Syndra is very low on mana, so can't really land her combo and do too much damage. She just leveled up, so she's got a lot of mana back now, but really important to keep Akali in the game in that early stage where she's so vulnerable.
Always nice
So
when your jungler's
more
willing to
fighting
maybe-
going on in the top lane. A lot of damage coming from this Renekton. That first kill was huge for him. He's got double the CS of his lane opponent. And he's just letting him know that he is just... This is his lane.
Chases Wukong down a little bit there, and Wukong's going to be stuck in her tower for a bit. Cho'Gath jungle on the bottom side. There won't be any relief anytime soon. Wukong's going to have to do his best to keep up.
Kills in favor of the blue team in the bot lane, but the CS is still about the same because of just the back timings. Not the most ideal backs from the blue side, so the red side's able to kind of keep up on the CS. Nice stun and a lot of damage coming out onto that Karma. Meanwhile, we got a party in the mid lane with all the junglers there. And we got Renekton chasing just about to the ends of the
all the way.
earth to try to get that Wukong. Wants that second kill, wants to just take away this game on his own. And he certainly can do it.
Kazakh's going to pick up a free
Kazakh's-
kill and Akali. Good rotation.
Kha'Zix does come in with the leap and the execute onto the Karma. Akali almost going down to this Cho'Gath. Definitely scary. He does have Flash and Feast, so if she gets hit by a Rupture, she is dead. The Renekton's coming down to kind of help out, and
Menard's giving up the chase.
he gets pinged off.
Oh, ow. And
Gets a
Akali
little
walks
too
right back into
greedy.
it.
Little too careless. He knew he was still there because he had the ward there. Saw he stepped in the bush and didn't leave, so that was just a mistake on his end. And he sacrifices all of this farm in the mid lane too. He is just really suffering from that one misstep. That was a beautiful push from the Syndra, but it's just not quite enough. Trade kill coming down, and Cho'Gath
That
is
Power Ranger
rotating.
just early.
Yeah, Cho'Gath is running down, and it looks like he's not even needed for the kill on the Misfortune. He doesn't have Feast, but if I were Red Team, I'd be looking to turn to Dragon after this, because they've just forced the wave in. They know the 80 carry's not there.
I'm surprised they didn't, in all honesty. You know, they're going to trade it for some tower damage. I suppose if you get the first tower, it's probably worth it, but that Infernal Drake's right there for the take, and you gotta make sure you rotate for the objectives.
And Renekton just putting down so much damage onto this Wukong. He's got almost a full Black Cleaver. He's got both components to a Corrupting Potion and a Longsword. That is just brutal.
And Vigar with the quick outplay button against the Caitlyn.
Here I thought I missed some super intense fighting. Then
Red
I
team
looked.
finally deciding to go for that dragon.
Got no 80 carry with him, so it's a bit risky. He does have Feast up, so all they need to do is bring it to about 1500
levels.
health.
I would say just played. Oh, and now Misfortune gonna come and
It's
poke
not
it
going
down
to matter because all he has to do is feast it. He's got the smite, he's got the feast. It should go down very quickly. Almost dies from the bullet time.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a risky play.
And then Kha'Zix is coming looking for a gank on this Wukong. Looking for him to step just a hair too far forward, but he feels something shady's going on. He doesn't have vision of it.
Good on Wukong trusting those instincts.
Those monkey instincts. Or maybe it's just PTSD from the last time he stepped into the middle of the lane.
Monkey doesn't see, monkey doesn't do.
This is what I was talking about. Kha'Zix needing to get something to slow down this Cho'Gath, because otherwise he's just going to get outpaced and is going to be irrelevant. Steals away the red buff. Got pressure in the lanes from the red side on in the bot lane and the mid lane.
Gang coming out top, bunch of ults go down, ends up being a 1-for-1. And that kill is going to be huge for Wukong, who needed something going on in the lane. You know, Renekton has doubled his CS, he's got the 1-0 lead.
Meanwhile, we've got the Cho'Gath trying to sneak this Herald. He does have Feast again, so he can take it out from about 2,000 health if the eye's there. Akali going in on that Syndra after she takes down the tower. Burns the Ignite and finishes it out. Renekton recalled, so they have no idea this Rift Herald's going down.
And Cho'Gath stacking that Feast.
There it goes.
But forgets to pick up, and luckily someone was looking out for him. Would have been bad to get on tape.
We've got 3 stacks. A lot of damage coming from this blue team's bot lane. Not enough to take out the Caitlyn, though. Meanwhile, Veigar tries to step in to take a bullet for Misfortune, but Misfortune says, no, you're a fool, you're gonna die. I got you. Nice flash from the Caitlyn. Saves
Kha'Zix
him.
coming from behind. And that's gonna
Flash, and that may just be the double kill, unless the root comes out. Oof.
Cho'Gath rotating down now. It's a fiesta in the bot lane.
That Karma just barely surviving from that shield.
The bot lane's been such a back and forth. You see red push all the way up to the turret. You see them get pushed all the way back to theirs, push all the way back up again.
While we were focusing on that, we've got the Akali at least pushing out the mid lane, getting a little bit of pressure back, and then the Renekton gets another solo kill in the top lane, and it looks like he's gonna get this tower.
Renekton pushing a huge lead there, got more than double the CS, 2-0.
That's gonna be huge. First tower already went down, and he is gonna get it and cancel the TP.
Oh, that's a...
Kind of a mistake by the Wukong, thinking he didn't have enough for the... didn't have enough damage to kill the tower.
Cho'Gath's stuck in a fight here. Looks like he's making a play for the Veigar.
Looked like he was in range to ult. Oh,
And we'll get taken down.
nice saves from the Misfortune and the Kha'Zix, getting enough slows that he can't quite catch up to the Veigar. Syndra roamed down.
TP in here from the Renekton just denies any more silliness going on. Wukong gonna pick up some free farm.
Pick up some free farm, but he's still down 50 CS. And he goes down, throws down a... No, doesn't even throw down a ward. He just walks down there. He's sitting on 2 wards. He should have warded down there, because he doesn't know if they're going to start coming up or not.
And looks like he's rotating towards the mid lane now.
Should really be dropping wards on his way around, though. At the very
It's
least.
been a fault of the our current red team. They've been lacking in warding. If they do get sent to a game 3, I'd like to see them and definitely step that game up a little bit.
Vision is definitely one of the most broken and most underrated mechanics in this game. It's
Wukong
the hidden
going in
carry.
against Renekton. Does have a Syndra to go with him. Renekton
Going in,
seems to
kind
slide it
of
out.
baiting for the Syndra. Renekton pops his ult.
You get the ult
Wukong
pop. Just
can't quite get onto him. It looked like he was right-clicked on the Renekton instead of past him, so didn't quite get the knock-up. Ult coming out from the Syndra doesn't quite land enough damage. Meanwhile, the Cho'Gath is sitting down there looking for something dirty in the bot lane.
And big fight coming out in top. Flashes all around. Girl's gone wild. And everyone will just walk it out. Kozak's looking for a quick pick off, and Syndra's gonna play defender here.
Ult coming out from the Misfortune, kind of just to get them off the tower. The wave was already gone.
Oh, we have fights all around. And Menard's
Rupture
stacking.
lands, and down goes the Veigar. And they're going to drop Herald here. That's at least one turret. The Misfortune had to back. They might get 2 out of this because nobody's responding yet. Looks like they're just going to try to trade the momentum for a tower in the top lane. And maybe one in the mid lane. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to get this one. They're definitely going to be able to get the one in the top lane. But Syndra is here to force the Akali off. And it looks like they're going to keep going in the top lane. Kind of force them off their own push.
Interesting pushes going on here, and Blue's finally
Akali's
back.
roaming down. She's looking for a pick on to the Karma here. Sees the Cho'Gath and just says, I don't want any part of that. She probably had the damage to drop the Karma though, so I'm kind of surprised that she didn't go for it. Cho'Gath with his ult up again. I'd just like to point out that he's got 4 stacks of Feast, none of which are from just regular minions.
He's done a nice job stacking his Feast, definitely.
Body block coming out from the Renekton and the Veigar both.
Blue team making a play for the dragon.
2 down on the red side. When they were trying to greedily get this dragon when 2 of them were half health. Blue team picking it up on the backside. It's just a Cloud Drake as opposed to the Infernal Drake, but moving across the map, especially when your opponent's top lane has no towers except for the inhib, is definitely very important. It's the most underrated Drake, but still, it just generally is less useful. Just doesn't give you those extra combat stats, so it just doesn't bring as much appeal.
Blue team able to pick up a couple turrets here. They've got a 7-kill lead. They've got a 1 turret lead. What
Meanwhile,
do you think
in the
is...
top lane, we got Akali deleting the Wukong from about half health, and that's just the power of Akali with that Gunblade. It's a lot of damage.
Turns into an 8k lead and a 5 gold lead. What do you think is Red's path to victory here? What do they need to change to kind of get back into this game?
What they need to do is they need to start looking for those team fights. Where they get the Wukong to flank and get the ult off on the carries. Basically, they need to stop being so split. They've got the 80 carry in the bot lane, and it was a 3-on-3 fight because the Misfortune wasn't there. But it was at their tower, and they were just in a really bad choke. So the Veigar gets a nice wall up and kind of corrals them, and they just drop the Syndra, so that dissolved into nothing. But what Red wants to do here is they kind of need to either turtle up or just start grouping better, because they're just getting these bad skirmishes, and that Kha'Zix is 7-2 right now. He does a lot of damage with that Duskblade and the Warrior enchantment. So the red team's carries need to basically be glued to that Cho'Gath. Otherwise, they're gonna pop immediately. But what they need to do is they need to start looking for some nice team fights, and they need some good picks onto the Misfortune, because aside from this Misfortune, the Akali doesn't do a lot of AoE damage, but they definitely need to be careful of that Renekton. He's only 2-0-2, but he is definitely a monster.
Yeah, he's got the second most CS in the game right now. That Black Cleaver's built. Got a little bit of the defense with the Ninja Tabis. He's been a monster in the one-on-one fights, and that stun has been hurting the red team a lot.
And the Ninja Tabi's a really smart buy from the Renekton here. Not a lot of gold is on that Syndra that just got deleted again. So he's not super concerned about the damage. He goes in there and gets knocked up on the Wukong ult because he's going a little too aggressive and just gets immediately munched down by that Sho'Gath. Overall, a 1-for-1 trade. It looks like it's in favor of the red team because they get a tower out of it too. Meanwhile, Miss Fortune's in the bot lane, so wasn't even there for that fight.
A lot of what you were talking about there too. You see the red team finally managing to group. They get that 5-on-4, trade it 1-for-1 in kills, but it goes into the Renekton and they pull a tower off of it. That's going to be good for getting them back in the lead. Back in the game.
And this Syndra, she doesn't have a lot of money right now, but she still does a lot of damage. So if she is able to get a nice stun off and get some balls out there, she can definitely play dodgeball with the Miss Fortune or the Akali, and it's gonna be pretty close to a insta kill for either one of those two, and that's gonna be a lot of damage gone from the blue team.
Big difference I'm seeing in this game from the previous game. We saw, Menards on Sejuani making plays, getting a lot of assists, getting a lot of kills. You're not seeing that as much on Sho'Gath. He's got the 3 kills, all of them off of his feast, which is stacking nicely. But the team isn't getting ahead because of it. Same thing with Syndra. We saw a lot of assists, a lot of roam with that teleport out. Her playing as, and a huge fight coming in here. Her playing as the LeBlanc.
I'm kind of surprised that the Miss Fortune didn't instantly blow up there. That was just a huge wipe there. She flashed next to 2 members of the red team and just got away with ulting basically nothing because it was angled just awkwardly that there was enough room for the one member to walk a little bit farther into 2 other members of the blue team.
And Blue's going to pick up the turret off of that fight. You're seeing Blue really snowball out of control here. A lot of the money's on the Kha'Zix that you didn't want to see. A lot of it's on the Veigar that you don't want to see. They've fed the wrong people, and that's hurting them a lot right now. Red team needs to...
And just looking at the gold, it's leads in favor of the blue team across the board, but you've got a 2,000 gold lead on the Renekton, who's just been ahead all game and just so dominant in that top lane. The Kha'Zix has a 2,000 gold lead. He's just been getting good picks on all these squishies, being in the right spot at the right time, definitely being super helpful.
Red team definitely getting punished for their lack of warding, not being able to spot
The
out.
Akali is up 300 gold, was taking a massive beating the first half of the game, but just able to get some kills later in the game with that Gunblade and with just being level 6, having that burst potential, really paying off for them.
And another Drake slide in favor of blue team here. Kha'Zix able to solo it.
Yeah, 2,000 gold lead on the Miss Fortune. Her ult is just disgusting in team fights. You see it there. That's a beautiful stun placed by the Veigar. Ends up a 2-for-1 trade, but it's not done yet as the Kha'Zix goes down. Still trying to pick fights, and the Akali able to still get something. Feast not up yet. Looking at about 10 seconds on Feast before they really need to start backing off. Overall,
Sho'Gath doing all that he can to keep everyone up, trying to provide a lot of that peel. The Veigar E into the Miss Fortune ult did a lot for that fight for him. I had previously spoken about, blue side not having enough CC, and of course Veigar's got to go and prove me wrong here.
Yeah, it's not even reliable CC from the Veigar, but that zoning tool from his Event Horizon is just so useful, especially when you want to be moving around for all your team fights. Blue's got such a skirmishy team that they're moving around so much during the team fights, so that Event Horizon is definitely super helpful, kind of keeping Red right where they want them, and if they try to step out of line, they just get stunned and dropped for free. Looks like they're having a little bit of a vision war for Baron right now. Got a TP coming in from the Renekton. Cancelled. Looks like he's just going to keep going with the split push.
I'm curious about the cancel there. This is the the TP into Baron. I know it wasn't ideal. Everyone was kind of getting spread out, but
He was
you're
a little in the
leaving-
middle, but he figured that he must have figured that they had enough pressure in the area that a Baron play was risky from the red team. But now they're going for it, and Cho'Gath does have Feast. Ult coming out from the Syndra doesn't quite kill the Veigar. Veigar gets the return kill. Ult coming out from the Caitlyn, and the Zhonya's just in case.
We're seeing the two
Going-
outplay buttons go head to head in favor of the support Veigar.
Going back in, the Akali is just tearing apart the squishies, and then Kha'Zix shows up to finish off the Cho'Gath, but not before he munches down the Akali.
And that is brutal for blue team who are going to lose out. I'm sorry, for red team who are going to lose out on
Oh,
both
and
Baron.
the
Renekton is
Kha'Zix
completing the
goes
split
down,
push.
but yeah, the Renekton's still split pushing, so he's able to pick up a tower, and now he's got the Baron empowered minions. He's gonna at least get this inhibitor. Syndra's back up, so I don't know if he'll get too much more with Karma respawning. Looks like he's just gonna back off, play it safe.
And why not? I mean, they have a huge lead. Now is not the time to be risking it on, forcing a 4v5 for your team. True disaster there for the red team. They made the play for the Baron 5v4, come out aced for their trouble, and now they have to play defense as blue team crushes in with the Baron buff.
So at this point in the game, what do you think Red has to do to kind of claw their way back into this game?
I don't see much of a path to victory for Red. They are in a rough spot right now. Every time they seem to go for an objective, they fail it. We're seeing Kha'Zix is able to pick off Dragon solo. Their team fights have been negated by Veigar placing good ease. They need a team fight. They need Cho'Gath to get a good knockup. If they can take out the Veigar early,
They're going for a
prevent that
pick
stuff,
on this Misfortune, and that would have been huge, but good flash, good exhaust. Diffuses that, and it turns around to a pick on the Wukong.
Yeah, and that's the real. Oh, and wow.
And the Syndra just being a little too cocky, backing on a ward, just gets evaporated.
Backing on a control ward, and that's been a real issue for this red team, is that they haven't been warding well. Kaz has been punishing them for that, and he got a lot of people snowballed early on.
Yeah, just looking at the vision right now, red team has a ward on blue buff, on their wolves, and kind of a little bit in the topside jungle, but other than that, the map is just dark, except for where they are. So their map control right now is so minimal, and they are so scared of just doing anything.
And they still seem to be, you see Syndra kind of playing in the bot lane. They're still roaming around, they're just doing it without vision. And blue team has been punishing them for that.
Some good kills coming out for the red team, kind of giving them a little bit of a saving grace, but these minions are doing a lot of damage to this top lane tower. Syndra comes and cleans it up. Those were some pretty messy skirmishes, but they ended up in favor of the red team, so if they want a warpath to victory, this is basically what they need. They still got 3 seconds on the Kha'Zix. Misfortune's recalling right now, so I think they get this tower and then they just have to ditch.
Yeah,
Otherwise
if they
this
get greedy, try to
Kha'Zix
save
is just
the
going
team
to
better.
delete someone again.
Yeah, and it's been a real issue. Hats off to Menard's Cho'Gath for really managing to sustain under that tower, give red team a chance to make a defensive effort against the Baron buff. Menard's now at 12 stacks of feast too. That's an incredible number for the 29-minute mark.
And again, he's still only got one. No, he's got one from minions and he's got 5 from monsters. So he's filled up his free stacks, if you will. Gets another stack from the Akali, and Misfortune pops the ult to kind of back him away, and it works. He has to burn his flash to get out of there.
My prognostication kills or skills clearly not on display here. I talked about Red not having much of a path to victory, that they needed to really play well defensively. They did that. I didn't see it turning out this well. They win a fight 3v4 as Wukong and Syndra are playing with the Renekton in the top lane. You know, they're slowly clawing back in behind Cho'Gath's enormous girth there.
What I'm surprised that I don't see is a Warmogs on this Cho'Gath yet. That would have allowed him to get some serious health regen there, and he wouldn't have had to back. They could have tried to regroup and reforce for that dragon, but instead the blue team takes it up on the backside after they successfully force the red team off that dragon.
And he's going to need a Warmogs too. The team is revolving around his play, you know, what he can perform CC-wise, what he can take damage-wise, and what he can put out damage-wise with his ult. So anything that he can do to stay in the game, to, you know, be able to walk over to the side and heal up and come right back in, is going to be vital for the red team.
Yeah, any fight that they don't like, he can just walk away from and just kind of stay out of combat for a few seconds, and he'll heal up real fast, and they can just kind of redo. Right now, looks like that was a beautiful rupture, but the Wukong is still gonna go down very quickly, and it looks like the Cho'Gath's looking to get an ult off onto this Renekton. Maybe he's just trying to get out now because the entire blue team is up here. But just as fast as the blue team gets up here, so does the red team, shielding and saving that Cho'Gath, but at the cost of a couple more carries.
I'm thinking red team is not, or is rather underestimating the effect that Cho'Gath is having for him right now. They needed to rotate up to him as quickly as possible to help him out. Instead, they let him 2v1 for a while and he had to back off. That let their carries just get blown up.
And then, at the same time, the way they rotated up, they needed to get there fast, but they went the fastest route, and it was a dangerous route to take. They have no vision in this upper jungle, and the blue team just kind of swamped them. Jumped them, swamped them, dropped them all.
Yeah, I think, you know, last game, another feast for Menards. That's outstanding.
And that's a huge kill. That's on to the Renekton, who's been doing so much damage in these team fights. 5, 4, and 3, but the damage potential alone from this Renekton is just terrifying for anyone on the blue team. Got 2 assassins sitting on the sidelines looking pretty much for this. And they get a nice pick onto the Syndra. But the Cho'Gath's right there to kind of make up for that. Wukong going in, gets a nice ult off, but Misfortune just drops him in his tracks.
And Akali chases down Caitlyn on the backside there.
Again, that's the carry's dead for the red team, and there's not much it looks like they can do at this point. Especially with the Karma at such low health, it looks like the Cho'Gath's gonna try to get something on that Veigar, but just has to back off because this Misfortune is getting this last inhibitor for free.
And Cho'Gath needs some help. Too many people are splitting away from him. You said it earlier. The carries have to be hugged up on him, and they're not doing that. You're seeing red teams split off without much vision, and it's costing him over and over again. Eventually, that beating starts to take a toll.
And going back to just the dragons, yeah, they have the Infernal, but the only real benefit from having the Infernal right now is the fact that the blue team doesn't have it. They're not really putting that much use to it because they're just not positioning well enough for fights. And then the blue team has the two Cloud Drakes and an Ocean Drake. So the Cho'Gath doesn't have a Warmog, so he doesn't heal out of combat. Well, the Ocean Drake does that. So now, instead of, if the red team doesn't like a certain skirmish, they can just back off of it and have Cho'Gath heal up to full health. Now the blue team can just kind of back off of whatever skirmish they want, wait them out, and then just go right back in. And they've got those Cloud Drakes to kind of move around the map however they want, with just so much more speed. Cho'Gath trying to flash in to get the Baron, but it's already gone, and he just eats the entirety of the Misfortune ult. And turns to take a quick snack on the Veigar. But that Misfortune ult just...
but also all the damage that blue can pump out.
That Misfortune ult alone did so much damage, and meanwhile the Winions are just gonna do what they do best. Backdoor the base.
Red with a risky play, they're trying to steal the Baron away.
Syndra alone, I don't think she's going to be able to save this.
This might be one where...
The Renekton's not even going to be greedy, he's just going to go for the end.
And they're just going to let the Baron-empowered minions take it over. GG's coming out. This game a lot more one-sided than we saw early on in the first one. Red team especially getting punished for their lack of vision.
Yeah, that was definitely a very clear-cut game. After about the first 6 or 7 minutes, it was in Blue's favor, and they did a very good job of just not letting up on the pressure. They kept their foot on the gas pedal, kept going, and it definitely paid off. So much damage coming out from the Misfortune ults. Not a huge amount of kills on her, but I mean, 14 assists, there's a lot of damage coming from her.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need the kills when you're putting out that much damage. If someone else is picking them up, that's fine. What mattered was her ability in the team fight to really take control.
Alright, that wraps it up for our second game. It looks like we are getting set to do a third one in a little bit, so we will check back with you guys when we're ready to go ahead with that.